Hey everyone, this is AJ and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new movie review for one of the big tentpole releases of 2022. Yes, Jurassic World Dominion. We've all been waiting for this one. Let's dive straight in. Let's not wait 65 million years to get this review started. Let's do it. Let's get in there right now. Now, before I begin, I will say that this review will possibly contain spoilers and may spoil the film for you. So if that's not for you, then step away, come back after you've seen the film. If you don't really care, then carry on. Why not? So, Jurassic World Dominion. Yes, the 6th instalment in the Jurassic Park franchise. The 3rd Jurassic World movie. This film again is directed by Colin Trevorrow, who directed the previous 2 Jurassic World movies. It's with a screenplay by Colin Trevorrow and Emily Carmichael. Now, this film is rated 12A. It's got a runtime of 2 hours and 26 minutes. Yes, it's nearly 2.5 hours long, with a budget of $165 million. Or you wouldn't be forgiven thinking that it was actually more. Now, the film sees the joining of the old guard and the new guard. The casts of both franchises coming together in one story. Yes, we have Chris Pratt leading proceedings as Owen Grady. Bryce Dallas Howard again joins him as Claire. We're joined by Laura Dern from the original franchise as Ellie Sattler, Sam Neill as Alan Grant, Jeff Goldblum in an extended role that he didn't have in the last one. He only had a cameo as Dr. Ian Malcolm. DeWanda Weiss joins as Kayla Watts, Isabella Sermon as Maisie Lockwood, who you remember, the young clone girl from the previous film. B.D. Wong returns as Henry Wu, and Justice Smith as Franklin Webb, who was in the previous Jurassic World film as well. So this film, yeah, it's got all these ingredients. It's got this fantastic cast. It's got a lot of money. It's got a talented director. Can anything go wrong? Let's find out. Let's step into the story. Okay, so this is set about 4 years after the events of the last film. We're having, as human race, we're having to learn to cohabit with dinosaurs. They are in every facet of life now. People are illegally trading them. They're out there in the open. Yeah, they're there. They are there. And so the word world has never seemed so apt for the title of this film, because this is Jurassic World and it is a globe-trotting adventure as well. So the film catches up with Owen Grady and Claire. Now, we find out at the beginning that Claire's been doing these sort of illegal breaking into places and filming sort of breeding places for, breeding hubs for dinosaurs and getting that sort of stuff out in the open. She's been doing this with Justice Smith, but Justice Smith steps away from this to go and get a real job, shall we say, and do something for good. So he steps away from this limelight, and Claire and Owen go off and they live in the wilderness, somewhere up north, where it's cold, where it's a bit snowy, and they're doing what they do because they want to keep Maisie Lockwood hidden away from the world, because people will be after her because of her DNA and her clone and all this sort of stuff. They're living there. Blue's about, running around, and Blue has had a new offspring here. Blue has given birth to a baby Blue, should we say, the Velociraptor. So they're out doing what they're doing, only they end up getting captured, or the baby ends up getting captured, and the young girl ends up getting kidnapped, and this sets off a series of events where Owen and Claire have to go on their adventures to save them. While this is occurring, we visit another part of the world, down in Texas, where there are these locusts, and they're large locusts that have been devouring crops, but only certain crops, not crops that are seeds that have come out of this biotech company. So it looks like that these locusts have been genetically engineered to attack or destroy other crops that are not designed by this company, that are not released by this company. So they're essentially you've got this company trying to take over the world's food market, shall we say? So, you know, and that's all leads to some interesting stuff. And this is investigated by Laura Dern's Ellie Sattler. Now, this leads her to go and get the help of Alan Grant, because they need to go to this biotech company, which just so happens to be the biotech company that has kidnapped the young girl. And just by chance, Ian Malcolm is working there as well. He's been employed, so this is their way in. Now, as the story progresses, we get into that sort of Jurassic World territory, dinosaurs running around, all this sort of a thing. I shan't go too much more into the plot, but I will say it takes about an hour and 45 minutes into the film before both casts actually come together in a very contrived manner. There are a lot of plot contrivances within this film, I will say that. DeWanda Wise's character, Kayla Watts, she plays a sort of smuggler, aircraft pilot smuggler, who just so happens to see Maisie, and she's smuggling Blue, getting them into, you know, into biotech, and then she just so happens to be in this sort of dingy, dark, underground, illegal dinosaur trading venue, where Owen and Claire turn up to through means of their own, and it's okay. That's enough about the plot of the film. I'm not going to go into any more of the plot. I will say that this film looks fantastic. You know, the money's up there on screen. You've got aesthetics with the dinosaurs that you haven't seen before. Primarily dinosaurs in the snow, you know, so it gives you this nice sort of elegant, silent feel to them, because, you know, snow drowns out sound. So you're given visuals that are fantastic. You've got some fantastic visuals of dinosaurs cohabiting with normal animals that we know, and it looks all fantastic. It really, really does. You know, the cast do an immense job with their characters. You get the feel that Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and haven't stepped away from their roles whatsoever. And the same with Jeff Goldblum. Now, I didn't really like Jeff Goldblum's turn in the last film, even though it was just a cameo. It didn't really feel like Ian Malcolm, but here he does. He certainly does. But my biggest gripe with this film are the plot contrivances. You know, so much in this film just happens, you know, and it's just so circumstantial. It's like, oh, you know, that's so coincidental, right? I mean, for argument's sake, Justice Smith going and working for the CIA, and he's got the information that Owen and Claire need to get on with their investigation into the missing girl. The fact that, you know, DeWanda Wise as Kayla Watts, she happens to be the pilot that is smuggling Blue, and sees Maisie, and then happens to be in the same place that Claire and Owen are. You know, Ian Malcolm working for this biotech company, and that's their way in. You know, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler's way into this company. It just all reeks of just contrivances. There's a scene where, you know, the old cast, after coming across Maisie, they're in this vehicle and it's teetering on the edge of this sort of ravine, and then falls and rolls down, and it literally lands at the feet of Owen Grady and Claire, and you know, that's how they come together. It's just so full of these sort of contrivances from beginning to end. Then that just reeks of bad writing, lazy writing, which is unfortunate. Now, I like I said earlier, this film is a sort of globe-trotting adventure. It goes to different parts of the world, and never has the word world seemed so apt within the title of a Jurassic Park film, because it does feel that the world is inhabited by dinosaurs, which is fantastic. It really is. That being said, halfway through this film, I felt like I was watching a Fast and Furious movie. Yes. I said that. It's a Fast and Furious movie. The dinosaurs look spectacular in this film, as you would expect them to. There are CGI dinosaurs. There are animatronics as well, which is nice to see. You're introduced to new dinosaurs. You're given designs of dinosaurs that have actually got feathers, like what we know now than what we didn't know when they made the first Jurassic Park film. There are returning dinosaurs, dinosaurs you haven't seen since maybe the first movie, bit of a callback to that. So that's all really nice and good. Now, there is a dinosaur which is meant to be the biggest sort of carnivore known to man that's in the film. And it does play into one of the sort of action set pieces of the film. That being said, there is no clear, distinct villain dinosaur like what you get in the other Jurassic Park films. In the last one you had that one that was chasing them around the house, that genetically engineered one. In the one before that you had the Indominus Rex, that sort of a film. In the one before that, the Spinosaurus. You know how it goes. In the first one it was the Velociraptors. You haven't really got that in this film, but there is a scene at the end with which doesn't feel, again, it feels forced. It feels like it doesn't need to be there. It's basically a fight off between dinosaurs, between the T-Rex, this carnivore that's the biggest known to man, this sort of thing, and this other one that's sort of very bird looking. It feels like you get the same sort of action scene as what you got at the end of the first Jurassic World film, where you've got the T-Rex having to team up with another dinosaur to defeat this big dinosaur, because the T-Rex always comes off as weak again, like what it does. But the issue with this scene, although it looks really good and it looks fantastic and it's nice to see, it's not earned within the context of the story, because this big dinosaur, this evil one, this villain dinosaur, should we say, isn't set up as that. It's not set up in that sense. So this sort of action scene feels unwarranted, unearned, and sort of, I want to say out of place. Out of place in that it just feels sort of tacked on, because we need a big dinosaur action finale set piece. And it just doesn't feel like it should be there. It feels like an afterthought, shall we say. But yeah, but they look fantastic. I can't fault how they look, you know. There's not too much dread and fear with the dinosaurs again within the film. That's another issue that I have. There are maybe two scenes where you feel a bit sort of concerned for the characters. One being with Claire, where she's being chased by this bird, one with these big sort of, I don't know, spiky things, and she goes under the water. That was quite ominous. And a scene where they're in these sort of caverns and you get them. Do you remember them dinosaurs? You had the sort of low down lizards with the big spines on their back like that. It looks like them. But I'm not into dinosaurs, so I don't know what their names are. But there you go. Yeah, so, you know, don't get me wrong. It's an enjoyable film, but I think at 2 hours and 26 minutes it does feel like it overstays its welcome. It is nice to see the return of the original cast joining with this newer cast. You know, and I can't fault the acting. It's just the way it all comes together, just sort of reeks. There are some interesting ideas within the concept of the film. I was intrigued by the sort of the locust plot line and the fact that these have been designed to wipe out certain crops and all this sort of thing. And it opens that door to what we can do and the faults of what we can do as man if we get, you know, if we can inbred that into the sort of DNA, you know, you can put it into the concept of having chemical weapons or biological weapons that could go and wipe out a certain race of individuals or something like that. Is stepping into that sort of territory, which I find very, very intriguing. You know, that if you have a certain genome within your DNA, that something could wipe out just that genome, and you know, it's scary stuff, and I like that element towards it. There's a lot going on with the Maisie Lockwood character, sort of like retroactively creating a new backstory for her, I should say, where it turns out that she wasn't cloned per se, but her mother was, and her mother survived and lived, but her mother had the ability to give a virgin birth. Just being able to give birth without having intercourse, much like what monitor lizards can, apparently, in the context of this. I don't know if that's true or not. I looked into it. And this is how Blue came about having a child, by giving birth without having that reproduction occurring. So you've got that sort of a thing in it, and also she holds the key to the to the issue with the locusts. Henry Wu's character, or B.D. Wong's character, Henry Wu, he gets a sort of he gets a storyline that redeems him, a redemption story towards the end of the film. Yeah, so you do get a sense of closure within this film, but to be honest, I'm hoping that this is the final part of this film series, and they don't go any further. As much as the visuals are fantastic, the visuals are great, it's just lacking. The film is just lacking, which is very, very unfortunate. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on this movie. I'm rambling on, but I'm going now. This is AJ. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this Jurassic Park film. I'm sure that it will make tons and tons of money at the box office, and I'm sure that people will gravitate towards it and they will love it. But believe me, it is a movie full of contrivances. That being said, there isn't fun to be had with it. It's just me delving in and looking in deeper than what most people would. Anyway, this is AJ. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.